Great Writers Media.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look into the transformative journey of Ronald Rauckhorst, who has written a wonderful book. It is called Journey to Joy, From Spiritual Rigidity to Freedom, second edition. This powerful autobiography chronicles his path from a life governed by fear and rigid rules to one of spiritual freedom and joy. Join us as we explore the inspiring story of questioning, rebelling, and ultimately finding happiness. We're delighted to be joined by his wife, Louise, today, and we ask you watching at home to support writers like Ronald by subscribing to this channel and by purchasing this wonderful book. Louise, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Tell us a little bit about Ronald's inspiration for writing this book, Journey to Joy.
Well, he wrote it because he felt like he'd been an ordinary guy who led an extraordinary life, and that he wanted to help others he started out being a very kind of rigid, black and white, judgmental person because of the way he was brought up. And in the process of his life, he opened up more and more to doubt, uncertainty, and growing in his faith in the process. And so he wanted to share his journey in hopes that the readers would be inspired to follow their own journey.
Absolutely. I've always loved the expression, the more I learn, the less I know. And I think with young men in particular, they tend to be very dogmatic and rigid when they're younger, and then they get mellowed by all the beatings that life gives us over the years. And that's probably true with women as well, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. Was there a pivotal moment for Ronald when he began to question the rigid rules that governed his life?
Yes, it was. It was when, after Vatican II, Council II in the early 1960s, the teachings that came out really shared a very different or more open vision of the church and of our faith and of our practices to bring it more in concert with the modern world. And it's the first time it caused him to sort of doubt his beliefs and his faith, and it challenged him to kind of rethink everything. And that was a big turning point in his life. And that was while he was over in Korea, still as a missionary priest.
Yeah, the Vatican II was a pivotal moment in a lot of Catholics' lives,
Yeah.
because it kind of changed the way we looked at our religion. The priest was no longer facing away towards the altar, he was facing towards the people. I believe the Mass was said primarily in English after that point too, and not in Latin.
In the
So there
language of
was,
the country, yes, yeah.
yeah. So he was a Catholic priest at that point in his life?
Yes, he was a missionary in Korea for 10 years. And then he decided, I guess I think the kind of anger at those in the church who weren't willing to change and open up the way Vatican II was hoping would happen. So he felt like he had, I think he held a lot of anger about that. And then he ultimately decided to leave the priesthood. And while he was in the process of making that decision, he saw a Jungian psychiatrist who helped him to get in touch with his feelings, like he had never been in touch with his feelings. And to realize he was anger, to be able to put a label on it. And that made a big difference to him, because then he was able to work it through and grow in new ways.
But he was a very progressive person in many ways. To see a Jungian psychologist, to embrace the changes of Vatican II. A lot of people, I know my parents didn't like it at all. They wanted things the way they were, all fire and brimstone. But he must have been is he still with us, your husband?
No, he passed away. It'll be 2 years the end of this week.
Yeah, so I was going to say he must have been a very not only faithful person, but adaptable person that that he was able to make these changes in his life and have a life of priesthood, then a married life as well. So he kind of
He
saw.
became very adaptable, and I think I helped him with that. He had to, once he decided to leave the priesthood, he was interested in marriage, but he wanted to marry someone he could really communicate easily with, because many of his former Maryknoll friends had married Korean women, but he was not that facile in the language. So he decided that he wanted to marry someone he could communicate with, but not a nun or an ex-nun or a teacher or a nurse, because he thought they were all too bossy. But then he met me soon after I left the community I had been in. So he knew I was an ex-nun, but then he said, well, what are you going to be doing now? I said, well, what I was doing anyway, which is teaching nursing. So there I was, his triple bossiness, epitome. But
Exactly.
anyway.
Well, obviously, he fell in love with you and was able to overlook your bossiness and your past as a sister and your past as a teaching nursing. That's very, very funny.
So we had almost 51 years of happy life together.
Amazing. It's amazing. It's wonderful that you were able to enjoy both parts of life. The part of serving the Lord as, a member of the clergy, and then also married life where you had each other.
Yes, I almost felt like I've always had the feeling like, in a way, we were saved for each other.
Yeah.
If we'd met earlier, perhaps it wouldn't have happened. But we were just at a point where it really fit our, I guess, life purpose to be together.
Yep. Part of God's plan, no doubt, that you guys met.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about Ronald working on this memoir, if you will. Did it take a long time? Did he enjoy it? What was the process like?
Well, he started out in the maybe early 2000s, and then he put it aside. But then he had some sessions with a friend who was a medium, and he got encouragement from various sources to finish it. So he pulled it out and in around 2016 maybe or something, and then worked on it assiduously. And I would review it with him, and he'd get upset with me because he thought I was paying more attention to his grammar and punctuation than his meaning. But I was really trying to, give him feedback on both.
Well, that's good. You didn't hit him with a ruler on the knuckles, did you? If you got it wrong.
No, but I didn't use
Good.
red ink either.
Okay, great. All right. See, I used to get "see me" at the top of the my papers from the nuns who taught me in elementary school. I was like, oh no, just fail me. I don't want to have to talk to you afterwards. But anyway, that's funny. Well, it sounds like you guys had a wonderful relationship and that you had this last great project in many ways, working together to collaborate on this. And it must feel like a part of him is still with you when you look at that book, right?
Right. And I had the second edition published because I wanted to put in something about his retirement years, and I wanted to put in something about the perspective of Father Richard Rohr, the Franciscan, who wrote a book called Falling Upwards, who talks about the first half of life being our survival dance, where we have to develop a strong, identity and a strong container for our lives, so to speak, and choose a vocation, get educated, choose a vocation, marriage, family, all of that. But then with the last half of our lives is our sacred dance, where maybe there are losses and failures and things that come along in life, but how those can help to open us up to spiritual growth. So I tried to add an epilogue to his writing that showed how that happened to him, that he did open up, spiritually, and it dealt with a number of losses and failures, etc., but grew that. And kind of based on St. Paul saying, when I am weak, when I am strong, then I am strong, kind of thing. It's kind of a paradoxical idea, but it does, I thought it sort of put a context to his spiritual growth.
Wonderful, wonderful. Final question. What advice do you have for others who might feel trapped by religious or societal expectations and are seeking their own path to joy?
Well, I think one of the things that he came to believe is that faith is our relationship with God. Our beliefs might change, and those kinds of things, but the relationship is still there. So I think people need to feel free to open themselves up to new possibilities and, new ideas. He got a lot of, I think, spiritual nourishment from some evolutionary theology and creation spirituality writers. And so, if people just can open themselves up to new ideas and new thinking and being willing to change.
Wonderful. I think that's a secret to life, being open to new ideas and being willing to change, without a doubt. The name of the book is Journey to Joy, From Spiritual Rigidity to Freedom, second edition. It is a powerful autobiography that chronicles the author's path from a life governed by fear and rigid rules to one of spiritual freedom and joy. It's a great read. It'll have you examine your own life, your own religion, your own spirituality, and the choices that we make as we go along. Louise, thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time, this time until next time on Spotlight.
Visit us at www.greatwritersmedia.com. Email us at info@greatwritersmedia.com. or call us at +1 877 556 0487.